Oh, I might as well go ahead and confess that I've had some toxic female friends in my life. Hi guys, how are you? Welcome to Sustain Global. If you are new here, let me know down in the comments for a shout out. If you're not new, thank you so much for choosing to come back. Now, I'm so excited to discuss today's topic with you guys because one, I believe that it's really important, like it's a really important topic, and two, because it's a learning moment for myself as well. So, female friendship, why is it a myth? I think it's a myth because we grow up being introduced to how female friendships should be, especially through the media and the novels we read, the magazines and just everything that we see about female friendship. And several films showcase female friends in groups of maybe 3, 4 or 5, or maybe 2 best friends, and that more often than not this becomes our standard, when in all honesty it may not be the reality, right? Like the way we see friendships in TV and in movies, it's not necessarily our reality in real life, in adulthood friendship. And so tap in if you have struggled with friendships before or even struggling right now. Because the question is, why does it seem so difficult? I think it's because we emulate a picture perfect, and we get frustrated when, we can't get what we see or desire. But really, you are lucky if in your adulthood, in this age, you have friends that you can count on one hand. On one hand. If you can count your friends on one hand, you're a lucky person. For starters, finding friends can really be difficult. It's not easy for everyone. If you're an introvert, then you probably have very few friends or have never even had friends. But then if you're an extrovert, you probably have had quite a few friends before. And due to distance, miscommunication, misunderstandings, and unmet expectations, or even jealousy, because let's get real, these things happen, right? Due to stuff like jealousy, maybe when your friend is making it and you are not yet there, or not yet achieved your goals, or not yet found your purpose, and you feel like, hey, why is it happening for her and it's not happening for me? Or your friend is jealous of you without you knowing. Things like this happen. And miscommunication happens. Distance happens because when people move, maybe you are friends in high school and they move. After high school, you guys go to separate places. You don't have it easy meeting anymore. Your only chance of communication is over the phone and maybe physical visits. If you don't get that chance, then the friendship becomes difficult to maintain. And so, for what the media sets for us, it almost makes us feel guilty to think that we are probably fake friends, we are probably toxic people, or unable to keep our friendships, right? Have you ever felt like, hey, why am I really struggling to maintain my friends? Why am I the bad person? It gets to the point where you almost blame yourself, or you look into, what am I doing wrong so that I'm losing people in my life? But then, most of the time, it really, if you think about it, you probably don't have, there are people who, yes, there's something that happened for the friendships to break up, and then there's just things that friendships the bond grows loose. And I normally say, because we discuss this so many times with my friend and roommate of, I think, almost 6 years now, that sometimes people we grow apart. Sometimes it gets to a point where you bother yourself so much, asking yourself, why am I losing this friend? What happened? What did I do wrong? Or where is the problem? But when you can't answer, you even have to tell yourself, I'm not a fake friend. They are not a fake friend. It's probably just that they are no longer serving me in a way that they were when you guys knew each other as friends. And so, first of all, I need to say that, hey, I'm not perfect in all of this. I mean, I might as well go ahead and confess that I've had some toxic female friends in my life, okay? All through, all in all, above all, and without bashing anyone, without naming names, I know people who are for me, and you yourself know people who are for you. You know people who, your paths are clear. Even if your paths crossed, you can probably talk it out. And then you know people who really hurt your feelings and you maybe still hold a grudge against them. I mean, you should probably forgive them and move on. But I've had my fair share of struggling with friendships, and I've had my fair share of thinking I was somebody's friend, and kumbe they were treating me as something else, not even a friend, okay? So all through your life, you probably had friends along the way, maybe, or none even, because some people have never had friends. Some people just have what they call nowadays. I understand nowadays friendship is a big word. It's like telling somebody I love you. So you say, we are accomplices. We are not friends. We are just accomplices. Anyway, I don't know what you think about that, but so hey, how do we deal with this? Because going back to the causes of issues in friendships that I mentioned earlier on, one, communication. Miscommunication now becomes the issue, right? So what do we do? Probably develop clear paths of communication or honest communication, because nowadays communication feels so difficult, again, because of the standards set by the media. And we feel bad, or we feel some type of way when maybe you text someone so excited, waiting for their reply, and then they take forever to respond. And that hype, that psych that you had dies down, and you are no longer excited to chat. And so you start thinking, oh, they are not even interested in me. They probably have other friends. They probably have other issues. But did you really take time to ask them? Did you take time to understand the why? Because it's not always what you think. Most of the time, we think so much of, hey, what if this is the issue? But in the end, it really is not. And secondly, misunderstandings. Just be sure to understand each other. Know the other person as much as they know you, or as well as they know you, to the point that you avoid misunderstanding. And when there is misunderstanding, try to be the big person. Both of you can be the bigger person, or even it's in a group. Try to understand each other. Then in issues of, say, jealousy, now that's difficult to deal with, but how do you communicate your progress to your friends? How do you handle your success around your friends if they are not in the same stage of life or in the same stage of success as you? If they haven't found their purpose, how are you dealing around them? Are you sort of bragging and always showing off for what you can do? Or are you giving them that enabling environment and accommodating them to understand that even if I'm not there yet, this person is still my friends and they see me how they used to see me? Or are you holding their hand to help them get where they really want to get, right? And this can be so difficult because, especially if, say, it's sort of helping each other career-wise, you probably don't know what's this other. You're probably helping somebody get a job when really the job you want for them is not what they want for themselves. So you keep on sending them maybe job suggestions, but they don't apply because that's not what they want. You don't know what they are looking for. And this sometimes happen when for me, I really appreciate, and when I'm looking for something, I make sure to communicate clearly and openly. And when it comes to job applications, I will apply for almost anything that is along my line. Almost anything that I know I can qualify for and I will apply. No, I'm just speaking from my experience with okay, I think this is starting to go south. And if you have sent me job applications before, I'm not talking about you, okay? This is a different case. Just let me make this clear. I am not talking about you. This is a different scenario where I was the one giving the other person job suggestions. And then the entire time they weren't even responding. It was almost as if you're pressuring me to apply for a job, but they weren't responding. And kumbe, they weren't interested in applying for that job that I was suggesting for them. The whole time they weren't telling me. And then it got to a point where I was like, hey, are you really, am I bothering you with all these job suggestions? Are you okay? Then they told me that they were okay where they were. And, it came down to communication. So that was quite tricky and weird, but enough with the story time because I don't know where this will get. For me, I feel like I'm an easy person to deal with. But, sometimes I may get difficult, but in all these issues in friendship, misunderstanding, jealousy, maybe distance, maybe you struggle with long distance in your friendship and you feel like you do better with friends when they are around you. And so when you're away, it becomes difficult to keep in touch. Make sure to maybe communicate that. Try as much as possible whenever you have the chance to communicate and maybe text them, make a call. Just intentionality. It all comes down to intentionality. It all comes down to giving your friends grace because we are human beings and we are here for each other. We were made for each other. So let us be there for each other, understand each other. And we can have successful friendships as women because most of the time, especially when people see 2 or 3 maybe female roommates, people really find it difficult to understand how ladies can live together without bickering or getting into each other's feelings or just disturbing each other the whole time or quarreling or arguing just because of the fact that they are females. Like 2 females can't live together and have a successful friendship. But I tend to disagree because for me, I have my whole life throughout campus and even high school, I've lived with people, I've lived with ladies, and I've had successful friendships with my roommates. So I don't think that's the issue. I think the main issue is communication and understanding each other and meeting each other's probably expectations. Sometimes you don't even have to communicate. You just read the mood and you understand, okay, this is what is happening, right? So that's it. I am sorry if this was short. Let me know if you want us to discuss more about female friendships, and if possible, we're going to have a guest pretty soon to tell us more on what do they think about the myth of female friendships and why people struggle with keeping friendships especially in their early 20s, because as we move on to our 30s and maybe 40s, people have already known that these are my friends, and as much as maybe the breakups may still happen further along in life, I feel like by 30 you've probably figured out what you want or who you are, and so you attract the people who you are compatible with. So that's it for this episode. Thank you guys so much for your support so far, and let us keep on encouraging each other even in the comment section.